Hey folks, good evening. My name's Ryan, and I want to make a video tonight about Patagonia. Patagonia, say, that's kind of an odd topic for a rambling Ryan to be talking about. Kind of, but not really. I've got some connections to Patagonia from when I did a lot of more activism, as they donated a lot of gear to activists who were doing activism. So I benefited from their support of activism directly. Thank you. Uh, I've also had a lot of their clothing. They have good clothing. I've had Patagonia backpacks. I've read the founder's book, Yvon Chouinard, Let My People Go Surfing. Great book, great philosophy. He was really ahead of his time as far as a corporate leader goes. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. And it's just an interesting story. But to start with, what does Patagonia mean? Well, that's debatable. Of course, it's a reference to the geographical area in South America known as Patagonia. But where did Patagonia get its name from? Well, it got its name from Magellan, who was a Spanish explorer in the 1500s. Very famous. You can find out a lot about him. But he and his men landed and met some native people who were supposedly twice their size. And they called them the Patagones, or Patagones. We're unsure where the name comes from. It could come from the Spanish word for large feet, pata, and gon as a suffix. I'm not so sure about that. I think the more likely, in my opinion, the more likely derivation comes from a novel that was extremely popular at the time in Spain, in which there was a giant. It was a monster, but a large monster that was called Patagon or Patagon. I don't know the pronunciation at the time and all that. It's beyond me. But your $300 puffy could be named after a character from a novel in like 1510 in Spain. Kind of interesting. The fact that they found giants in South America is kind of interesting as well. Europeans at the time were smaller than they are now, for the most part, but you're still talking about these natives would have been like 10 feet tall if they were twice the size of the explorers. Patagonia started off in the late 70s. And from the very beginning, he wanted to have kind of a sustainable company and treat his employees well. Let My People Go Surfing is actually named after Patagonia's flex time policy. They're based in Ventura for a while. I don't know if they still are, but in Ventura, California, and they actually had a flex time policy to where if like the waves were good, you could leave work, go surfing, and then just come back later and finish your work off. That didn't have to be done right away. You could come back and work until 7 or 8 at night to finish off your work, but you could still go out and catch some waves. They were one of the first companies of their size to have on-site child care, paid maternity, and I believe they had paternity leave, the first ones doing that. A lot of the recycled technology in camping clothing comes from Patagonia. They've done a lot of research on how to reduce waste for their products, which is why you can basically always send a product back to them and they'll fix it or replace it. But they have really done a lot to try to make camping gear more sustainable and to treat their employees well. They want their employees to have a good life. And they don't just pay lip service to it. They actually come through with policies that actually do that. Yvon Chouinard, the founder, fascinating guy, has done a lot of really cool stuff in life. I don't believe he's running the company now. I want to say his kids are. But one of my favorite things about Yvon, besides, Patagonia and his impact in the corporate world, but he was a falconer. He actually would go outside. He had large birds of prey and would train them and take them outside and let them fly around and then call them back. And I think you could hunt with them. Pretty cool stuff. Interesting guy, interesting company. It's been out for decades now, but I still think Let My People Go Surfing is a good book if you want to be involved, if you're involved or want to be involved in any kind of corporate structure, to look at the bigger picture. I think his ideas, in a lot of ways, were just ahead of their time and really, really good. Like, if you're going to be a corporate leader, you should want your people to have good lives. And not just say that, but actually mean it and do things to actually meaningful things to improve their lives. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you enjoyed what little I provided here. But it's definitely worth looking more into if it interests you. And I definitely suggest reading Let My People Go Surfing by Yvon Chouinard, the founder of Patagonia, named after a big person, big people over here, big feet, who knows? Pretty cool though. Thanks for tuning in. Hit all the buttons. I'll have things in the description. Hope everybody has a good night. Take care and God bless.